So this is what we're making, a patterned domed ring. The material I'm using for this is sterling, 10 millimeters wide, 0.8 millimeters thick. Get your ring size. I'm doing a size R, which is 18.7 millimeters. Add the thickness of your material, multiply by 3.14. It will give you the length. For this one, it comes out to 61.2 millimeters long. You need to add a couple of millimeters because when we dome this ring, it's going to make it smaller. So 63.2 is going to be my length. And I just dial it up on my calipers. That's the hard part. So 63.2, hook the calipers on the end, drag them across, and it'll give you a nice line to cut to. And I'm just going to use shears, cut to the outside of the line, because you need to file back, because when you use the shears you bend the edge down a little bit. I'm using a Swiss nomenclature number 2 cut. Make sure that you don't round the end. Make sure that you keep it nice and flat. Now I'm going to pattern this ring, and it needs to be annealed, because to put a pattern on it, if it's not annealed, it won't give it a deep impression. So I'm just going to heat the metal until it's a dull red. So there. Lovely. Quench it in water and dry it off. I'm just going to put the metal on a steel bench block. In my case, it's a lap block. And chasing hammer, and I'm going to use a spiral and just put an overlapping pattern on it. And for fun, I'm going to put a couple of stars in the middle. So you can see what the pattern's going to look like, and I'm just going to do the whole thing. So I've got my pattern on the whole piece, and when you go over the end you distort the metal, so you need to touch it up with your file, and that should be all you need. Get a nice smooth bit. And use your flat half round pliers to form it. And because we didn't do a really intensive pattern, it's still annealed enough that we can form it. If you try to form it and it doesn't move, anneal it again. This seems to be moving okay, so we'll just do it. Get the ends together as perfectly as you can. Make sure it's not twisted. One of the little tricks is to use your parallel jaw pliers, and by bending this into an oval you can just use your parallel jaw pliers and give it a bit of a squeeze, and it'll take a little twist out. So I'm pretty happy with that. Ready to solder. So I'm going to put the join down, and I'm going to just flex the inside. I'm going to lay my solder on the inside. And a 3 millimeter long piece of 0.5 diameter hard solder. And just lay it either across or right on the seam. And our neutral flame. Just slowly dry out the metal. Move up till you're about 60 millimeters away and circle the join. And we're heating on the inside. So there the solder flowed. I could see it go from end to end, and as soon as it flows, back away. And we back away because we want to keep the majority of the solder inside, so you can see that we have just a fine seam where the solder is. Now I'm not going to sand that, I'm not going to do anything to it because it'll disturb the pattern, but it's good enough the way it is. So now pickle, and then rinse it and dry it. So we're out of the pickle. Dry it off. Round it up on your ring mandrel with your plastic or rawhide hammer or wooden hammer. Just this is a Bonnie Doon hammer, which is quite nice. But it doesn't have to be this fancy. Now we need to smooth the edge, and mine isn't quite perfect, but just by putting your sandpaper on your bench and rubbing the side of the ring on it, you can bring it up so it's nice and level. Just make sure there are no lumps underneath your sandpaper. And I sand a little bit and turn it and sand a little bit. Some people do the old figure 8 thing. It's up to you, whatever works. We just want to get this so that it's nice and smooth, no little bumps. Both sides. Now we're going to use our doming block or dapping block. And we want the ring to fit in to one that's quite a bit bigger than the ring. So this one, I think. And I'm going to use my chasing hammer just to hold it on the top, and then I'm going to use a plastic hammer to hit, flip it over, and you can see that we have a nice slightly domed ring. Now check this on your ring mandrel to make sure it's the right size. You don't want to go too small, or you'll have to file or sand that out. And that's all there is to it. So now it's just a matter of polishing it, and I'm just going to lightly polish it up on a Tripoli polishing wheel. You could put it in the tumbler. If you use the Tripoli wheel, don't really lean on it because you'll erase all of your pattern. So there it is, our patterned domed ring. It with that overlapping spiral, it almost looks like a Maori tribal design. I like it.